Okay, I got a box here that I've been sitting on for a long time. Flint Ridge sent to me by my friend Scott Webb. I want to take a look at this and break into them and see what they look like. Do some bifacing and maybe even make a point out of one of them. I'm going to use some steel, and if it's too harsh on it, I'll just switch over to aluminum. Hold on. So I guess these are just the surface fine chunks. I don't know if they're heat treated. Probably are. We'll see. I don't know how to tell the difference with Flint Ridge. I have not been knapping much of it. This should be interesting. It feels raw. Let's see. Yeah, there appears to be a natural crack in it. Appears to have been, but maybe I installed a crack. Let's see. That looks suspicious right there. Feels good for flint and steel. Let's see. Feels like it would be good for flint and steel. Oh yes. Okay. So yeah, it feels really tough. Alright, so let's put these back. Let's see what this does. So correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is all Flint Ridge, but it might not be. This looks kind of funny. Or different than Flint Ridge. It's been so long that I'm not sure if this was included in the batch or not. This may have just got mixed up with it, but it probably was included in this batch. All right. A lot of times these things get sent to me as a challenge, so that's what I'm assuming that this is going to be. That's some nice stuff. Kind of cool looking. It's not too bad to knap either. We'll see. Yeah, I can make little arrowheads out of that kind of stuff. It feels like it knaps well. So I don't know which ones are heat treated or which ones are raw. I'm going to assume a lot of this is already heat treated. And don't ask me what temperatures, because I don't know. There is a letter included, but I just looked at it briefly. I don't think he included the heat treat temperatures, but he might have. I don't know. I can't talk too soon. It gets me into trouble if I assume things. Yeah, this one's knapping all right. Very interesting. Yes, yes, yes. Interesting stuff. I've been bifacing all day. Or what I consider all day. During my napping session for today. I don't nap all day. I've done there, been that. I've done there, been that. I've been there, done that. And it's not productive. I can do it for about 2 weeks. And then I regret it. I can't do anything for another 2 weeks. So then didn't do me any good. Yeah, it makes me lame for a couple of weeks if I nap straight every day for a couple of weeks. The way I nap. I can nap every day a little video point once a day. That's napping every day. But usually what I try to do is get all my bifaces done. No matter what the material is, I had to test everything. And usually I end up testing the tough stuff first. Because that's the most challenging. I need to be rested up for it. I don't want to be doing the most challenging rock after I've worn myself out napping all the other rock for the week. So I start with the tough stuff. Works out pretty good, but then I get burnt out. Physically, especially, but also mentally, if I nap all day. But I have been known to do it. And sometimes I enjoy it. Believe it or not. I do enjoy it sometimes. I do enjoy napping all day. Got no cares in the world. Just napping, napping, napping. Oh yes. Now that's pretty good. That flake's pretty good. Look at that. That went all the way down the ridge. Or there's not even a ridge there. It didn't even need to follow a ridge. It napped that good. Yep. Well, whatever this is. What does it remind me of? I don't know. It just reminds me of heat. Lightly heat treated rock or high quality raw. Can't tell a difference many times. Or I can't many times tell the difference between high quality raw or lightly heat treated rock. And lightly is just an expression for heating a rock to the point where it's just barely noticeable. The improvement is just barely noticeable. I mean, it can be a drastic improvement sometimes, even with heat that is less than it can handle. But usually light heat treat means there's just a little bit of improvement, and there's not much difference in looks between the heat treat and the raw. That's what light heat treat means. And you have to experiment. It's different for every rock. Some rock will fully heat treat at the temperature normally lightly heat treats too. So you can have the same rock and it'll heat treat differently with the same temperatures. It looks like the same rock and it comes from the same source and everything's the same. could even be right next to each other and they heat treat differently. So it's not something you can plan in advance in most cases. At least not with the rock that I get. Maybe some guys have access to rock that's very predictable. I think that is a thing. I think that is possible to get rock that is predictable, which is good. I just have not been able to get it. Not usually. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I go, oh, yeah, I know what that needs, and it's pretty predictable. But I got to be knapping it raw first for a little bit, and I get the feel for it. And if I've been knapping it and heating it, napping it and heating it enough, I can kind of judge just by the way it naps. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna stop messing with this. This is bifaced well enough. Yeah. For the type of operation I'm running here, I just want to get this tested out and quit before it's too late. And I snap it. This definitely feels heat treated. Yeah. But you never know. It could be a raw. Just a nice feeling nappable raw piece. And I'm thinking this is Flint Ridge, but it might be something else. All this time I'm thinking this is Flint Ridge. I think it is. Let's see. I could look at the letter. Yeah, that would help. Let's see. I'm not gonna show it to you guys. Let's see. Yeah, it's from Nether's Farm. Okay. It looks like it's not heat treated. Okay, and there's some other stuff in here. He sent me some other stuff like a brass billet, that kind of stuff. So it's not heat treated. Well, this naps fine just in a raw state in that case, and it is Flint Ridge. Maybe does it change colors when it's heat treated? I don't even know. Yeah, this reminds me of Onondaga shirt. In the way it naps. Very, very hard. But very, very nappable. I switched to aluminum. Just because I felt like it. There's no strategy. I just said, man, we're not going to do the steel. Let's try aluminum. I don't know why. All right. This one, I mean, if you heated it up, I suppose it would work really well. It doesn't need it per se. So far, so good. But you don't know until you start thinning the thin piece. That's when you know. When it gets down to be thin and you start thinning it even more, that's when you say to yourself, you know what, I probably could use some heat because I'm not getting much result. I'm not getting long flakes and I'm getting lots of step fractures. Heat treating helps you get long flakes and avoid step fractures in many cases. Not all. Sometimes it gets more steppy and more snappy and more miserable. In that case, you might have heated it too hot. for too long or something. That's why you heat treat flakes first. Experiment with flakes. Don't put the whole thing in there. You know, get some of these flakes down there and heat treat them, and then pressure flake them and stuff. Or percussion flake them, whatever you're going to be using them for. I say pressure flake because you can do it easily right there in front of the turkey roaster. You don't have to bring it all that stuff over to your shop and start banging on it with your tools. I don't keep my turkey roaster in my shop where I nap. Keep it somewhere else. Keep it in my other shed. Sometimes I do set up a shop area in that other shed, but it's too full now. We recently had our well fixed, and they replaced the tank, the reservoir tank or whatever, and it's just, the old one's just sitting there where I used to nap. You're just sitting there waiting for me to haul it out. Yeah, it's just in the way. What I don't like napping in there anyway, because it's too hot. At least this little shop or this little shed is a lot cooler. The wind blows right through, and it's more ventilated. Yeah. This stuff is not bad in the raw state so far. It does not grind down easy, which can be a good thing, but it also can be a bad thing. I know it doesn't help when I say that. Yeah, I need to hit really, really hard on a really, really stout platform. So in this case, since it does not grind down easy, it's a little bit of a drawback. Okay, yeah. The flakes are not wanting to travel. Okay, that's not too bad. Yeah, okay. It takes some effort, but they do travel a little bit. Oh, I can feel some stone embedded in there. It doesn't glide over it. It's kind of sticky. That means there's stone embedded in the aluminum. Okay. Yeah, that felt better. Yeah, there was some stone embedded in there. I gotta be careful because it's feeling a bit crackly. These are nice and sharp. Super deadly flakes. But we don't mount flakes to the tips of arrows, so this is not what this video is about. Although I could try to mount some flakes on the tips of arrows and see how they compare to regular arrowheads. I bet you they would do just as well. I bet you. Which leads to the question, why would they spend so much time making beautiful arrowheads when the flakes do just as well? It's an interesting question. No one talks about it. It's so interesting that no one talks about it. How many tests have you seen with just flakes on the end of arrows? Nobody does it. They don't want to know. They don't want to know that the flakes do just as well, because then they got to explain. Well, then why did they make arrowheads? So much time, so much effort. It's just is it just an excuse for the guys to get out of the house, or an excuse to get the guys out of the house? Go make some arrowheads or something. Get out of here. I don't need to make arrowheads because I just get the flakes. No, go make some better ones. Just get out of here. Yeah, maybe that's it. Or maybe they did use flakes on arrows, and they just don't say that they're arrowheads when they find them. They just say, oh, this is just a utilized flake. It's not an arrowhead because it doesn't look like an arrowhead. They don't know if it was used as an arrowhead. Do they? And even if it did look like it was used somehow, little impact fracture on the flake, they would say, well, that's coincidence. I've never seen a study on the possibility of flakes being used as projectile points alongside, formal, quote-unquote, projectile points. Because they just don't know. There's no way to know. How are you going to know? Use-where studies? The powers of observation on some of these people is so poor that a lot of these use-where studies are highly questionable. Yep. That was nice, but it only went halfway. I wanted to go much further. Now, if I wanted to mount a flake onto an arrowhead, onto an arrow shaft, I would have to trim it slightly, right? Or could I just get a bunch of these together and pick out which ones I would put on the end of an arrow just like that? I might trim some of that off. That's the point there. I would use that one. There's not much trimming required on this one. I'd use that one. Yeah, a little bit of trimming on this to a point somewhere, and I would just use that one. But then that would be an obvious thing, right? You could tell that I would trim this one to a triangular shape. So then you could tell. But these are already triangular looking. But it would be interesting to do a test of these compared to a regular arrowhead. I'm not going to do it. No one's funding my research. Except me. And I don't fund very much research. Nope. I don't even fund my own research. That's right. I used to try to do a lot of research, but then I got discouraged. Why did I get discouraged? Because I was using the process of induction, using my anecdotes to come up with what I thought was useful information. It turns out that after studying how science works, it's not that useful actually. It's just practical knowledge, but it's not really how they used to do it back in the day. It's practical knowledge for us if we want to survive with these things, to know, you know, how we can do it in the age of technology. But to know how they used to do it, it takes a lot of knowledge of the artifacts, a lot of knowledge on how to reproduce the artifacts. You just gotta have artifacts constantly in your workshop, in your life, in your napping, in your brain. I did not have that kind of access to artifacts, although I had pretty good access. I'm not going to do any more testing or experimental archaeology. I'm going to do artwork, artistic and survival type stuff, and not really paying attention too much on how they might have done it back in the day. Yep, that's what I decided. I don't have that much time left to nap. Maybe another 20 years. That's not that much time, because even if I nap for another 20 years, the total would be maybe 35 years total. And some guys at my age already have 35 years of napping experience. I just turned 60. Some guys my age have 40 years of napping experience at my age. I don't have that much longer to go, so I'm going to focus on creative endeavors. Yep. This one is very cracked. So, should I continue? Am I just asking for troubles? If I continue with this piece, it might be solid. As you can see, though, it's dicey. Don't look gift Flint Ridge in the mouth, I always say. Just nap it. Doesn't matter if it's all cracked. Nope. And for raw stuff, it's not that bad. Yeah. Believe me, there's worse stuff than this. Oh yes. Worse cracked, worse to nap, and worse colors. There's stuff that's hard to nap, extremely cracked, and the color is blah. You know? It's like beige. Get beige stone. I remember back in the day we used to make fun of the color beige. Just like pink, the color pink. They don't make fun of colors anymore. What's up? Or do they? Am I out of the loop? We used to make fun of different colors when I was little. Yeah. Beige. It's one of those colors that's blah. Who knows what the interpretation is these days. Maybe people are not even into colors. They don't care. They don't care what color stuff is. has no bearing on anything anymore, right? Ooh, that does not. This is the same as the other striped one, right? Because it has stripes in it. It holds together well in the raw state. Now, I have napped heat-treated flint ridge not long ago. I think I made a cahokia out of it on video. That stuff napped like candy very easily, if I remember correctly. This is not candy, but it's not too bad. I'm surprised. I thought Flint Ridge was going to be harder than this. Now that I think about it, I've heard stories about it. Yep. I've heard about tooth rattling percussion. Percussion so hard that your dentist will feel it. Your dentist will feel this. Yeah. You'll have nightmares tonight. Because you're hitting the stone so hard it's making your teeth rattle. And all them sensitive dentists out there, they get that disturbance in the force feeling. What's he doing, man? He's ruining his teeth. It's almost that. I'm almost hitting it that hard. Not quite. I'm exaggerating. Yeah, I don't need to hit it all that hard. I just think it's funny. Making fun of the stone that I gotta hit it really, really hard. Because while I'm hitting it really, really hard, it's stressful. It could snap. I don't really know the limits of this stuff. And it could step fracture because I'm not really paying attention to the platforms or the striking areas. Well, I'm just going to town on it. I already told you guys many times, the ADHD, it won't let me be persnickety. I lose patience with it. Look up the word persnickety. Yeah, it's overly detail oriented, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Overly concerned with detail. I've had many years at work where I was a persnickety person every day. It wears on you. Yeah. They hire you because you're detail oriented, and then they don't tell you, yeah, we want you to be detail oriented to the point where most people would go insane. Is that okay? They don't say that to you. They don't tell you that they plan to use your detail orientation to its fullest extent until you start to show signs of breaking, mental breaking, and then they might ease up on you. Yeah. Maybe they'll ease up. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll bring in your replacement. Can you train him? Sure. Cool. So you know what's coming. And you don't care because you're on the verge of being burnt out. So you don't care. Alright, so this is bifaced sufficiently. Teaser from an old geezer All right. I was hitting this one earlier. This one feels heat treated, but if none of it is, this stuff naps even better than the other stuff. Yeah. Let's just see if it can withstand a big shock. Yeah. Sometimes you can feel, or you can tell how tough a stone is by the way it sounds. Very high-pitched little tinker bells. Yeah. It's hard, but it naps well. All right, can we get a large flake? Let's see. Let's see. Well, it tried. There's some healed fractures in there. I like it when it's healed. Those are cool. You can nap right through them, and they look cool. If you end up with one of those healed fractures in your point. Now, when you try to get it really, really thin, those are a pain in the butt. So you got to have a thick point in order to capture some of this stuff. So you got to keep that in mind when you start thinning this stuff out. Can't go too thin. Just FYI. Alright. It's probably good policy just to abrade the heck out of it so I can crush it. Yeah. I can put that flake on an arrow. That's too big. Doesn't even need to be pointy, does it? As long as the tip is sharp. The tip of the arrowhead doesn't need to be pointy. It doesn't. In a purely practical sense, you don't need that much flint knapping skill to produce a functional arrowhead. Yeah. You may have to spend several hours learning how to hit the stone like this, but you produce flakes that you can just chip around the edges and stick on an arrow. Maybe shooting stuff like crazy. Like a crazy cave person. Yeah. Shooting everything in sight and saying to yourself, what's the big deal, man? What's the big deal? Why do people spend 25 years, whatever, learning the flint knap? Don't make no sense. I'm killing everything with just flakes. I'm surviving out here in the woods with just flakes and a bow and reed or cane arrows. I don't even shape the arrows or nothing. I just cut them down, straighten them out, put a little bit of fluff on the end, don't even need feathers, and a flake on the tip. Shooting me a ton of rabbits. Yeah. So this stuff must be specialized. Alright, fancy arrowheads and the fancy arrows and bows, it must be specialized items. Must be, because you can get by with not much. Yeah. if you want to start hunting some bigger game or some more dangerous game like predators, wolves and mountain lions and bears and stuff, you gotta up your game. That's probably why they upped their game, because going after predators is a lot more difficult than going after the little dum-dum animals. Yeah. This is crackly. In case you haven't noticed, my expression for this kind of stone is crackly stone. Crackly. It's got cracks in it, and when you nap it, it produces crackly effects. The flake scars are crackly. You don't want to use my terms, that's okay with me. You can say it's prone to blah 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 type of fractures. What kind of fractures are these? It's prone to whatever kind of fracturing is going on here. I say crackly fractures, but probably is a term for it. That's all scientifical. Yeah. I don't got my lab coat, so I can't use the scientific terms. I don't got my lab coat on. I can't use the science. I don't have my scientific instrument to look at the fractures. I'm just eyeballing it. Is it being crackly because I'm using steel to nap it? No. Steel is not really smashing the edge. The edge is holding up pretty well. It's just the stepping that's kind of the issue here. Which means it's highly brittle. Stone is highly brittle. It would probably nap a lot easier heat treating with a heat treat. Imagine that. Yeah, imagine that. I think some people heat treat this stuff, huh? Yep. Not only for color, but for nappability. I think it changes color in some cases, right? I don't know. Now this is really, really thick. Normally by this stage I'd have it thinned down quite a bit. But it's just very, very tough. Let's switch over to aluminum. Sometimes tough material naps better with a softer tool. Sometimes. You never know. See that? I didn't know that they would do that. I kind of did. Not gonna lie, I kind of did know that it probably would help, because the softer material grabs the edge a little bit and peels the flakes. So I tried that. The steel will drive the flakes, but it won't peel them as like this does. Whew, look at that. It got peeled. Yeah. Don't worry, there's not going to be a quiz on my flint napping terms at the end of the video. Nope. Yeah, if it comes off really long and thin, it got peeled. P-E-E-L-T. peeled. Don't have to remember that. Unless you want to. Alright, what's next? I gotta get that lump out of there. Look at that. That's a stack. Everybody knows what a stack is. And yeah, but you don't go around saying, ooh, that biface is stacked, man. That's not the kind of stack that means. I mean, that's not what it means. No, but that's a stack right there. I'm going to try to smash through that stack, which sounds like blasphemy. That's what I'm trying to do. And if I can't, I'm going to get out the cheater tool. I just saw a video where someone is trying to use a big old cheater tool like this, except they mount it to a handle and they got it like a hammer. They're setting it up and they're hitting it, but someone's holding the handle and someone else is the same guy holding the handle and then smashing this part. Someone else is holding the biface. Yeah, I just saw a video. They're holding a biface on a cushion, and you know, they're kind of cushioning it around it with a U-shaped pad, and then it's on an anvil, and the other guy's smacking off big old stacks. Yeah. Now that's a stacked biface if it takes two people to smash that stack off. Yep. Oh, dang. There it goes. There it kind of goes. It's kind of gone. I'm going to take a big risk and then try to send a flake in that direction. Let's see if it did it. Ooh, it kind of did it. It was supposed to go further. Why didn't it go? Huh? Maybe because it's raw. Yep. It's raw. That's why. It's not because I'm a bad napper or nothing. It's just because it's raw. If I hit it harder, would it have gone? Yeah, I might have been able to send a flake all the way across, but then it would be broken. Yeah, I could send a flake all the way across and take off some of that edge. On the other side, that means it would be broken. And then I would have to put this in the Brooks and Bifaces box. What's the Brooks and Bifaces box, you might ask? Somebody tell him. I'm not going to tell him. Too many new people to keep explaining it every single time, all these things. And then people ask me sometimes, which is fine. They ask me, can you make this kind of point? I'd like to see you make this kind of point. And I've already got videos on it. Yeah. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. That's how you do it. You ask me to, can you do a certain kind of point? And I've already got videos on it. That's how you tell me you're new without telling me you're new. Yep. Also, that's what that crazy number is in front of all your videos. That's how many videos you got. Okay, I get it now. The trouble is sometimes you do a search for some of my videos and they don't come up. So I can't really talk smack about those people because they might have already done a search and it didn't come up. Yeah, it happens. If that's the case, I put a link to my videos as the answer to that question. Alright, so this is bifaced well enough for me to continue with another one. Because I can thin this down off camera. When you aren't looking, I can do this magically better. Why? I don't know. Somebody tell them. Somebody tell them why I don't nap on video the real critical ones that need to be done without breakage. Yeah, someone else tell them. Yeah, it's tough, but it's nappable. Yeah. Heat treating would be nice, and maybe it would turn blue instead of gray. Yeah. Get rid of some. This has got concrete in it. Maybe we'll get rid of some of that concrete. Yeah. Even it out so you can nap through it without rattling your teeth, creating a disturbance in the force. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. The thing about winding up to hit hard is the loss of accuracy. Ooh, that would probably change into nice colors, right? Yeah. But it's super sharp. If you wanted to use this for woodworking tools, that's super sharp. That edge right there, right there. Look at that. Look at them shavings just come right off. And this is live oak. This is the toughest oak that there is. And look at them shavings. Look at it. It's beautiful. See? Yeah, if I'm going to lie to you, I'll do it when you don't know. Yeah. I won't demonstrate. You just have to take my word for it. Yep. And that's when I'll sneak up on you and I'll lie to you. Because you never know. How do I know to do that? I've learned from the best through the years. People I didn't think would lie to me. Yeah. They do it because they know I wouldn't know. They're sneaky like that. Why would they pay attention to what I know and I don't know? Well, you'd be surprised. Some people operate that way almost exclusively. They try to figure out, what does that person know? What does that person know in the back of their mind, or whatever? How can I take advantage of what they know and what they don't know? Yeah. There are people like that. Sometimes people that you don't expect. And they keep track of what you know better than how they keep track of what they know. It's amazing. How do I know this? I don't know. I will not mention any names. I just know this stuff. It's personal stuff. Personal stuff. Just FYI. Okay, come on. Come on, I know you can do it. There it is. It's tough, but it's not that tough. It's kind of ornery and crackly, but it's not that tough. See, I can still get some flakage, but it's ornery. See how it wants to dive in? It's weird. it does these little crackly things. It wants to dive in at the end of the flake. It doesn't like the feather terminations. And if the heat treat that I was working on is any indication, this will knap a lot better with heat. You know, what would I heat it to if it were me? Well, mine only goes up, my turkey roaster only goes up to 600 because it has a well insulated lid. Normally it goes up to 450 degrees, but with a well insulated lid I can get another 150 degrees out of it. So yeah, that's what I would try to heat it to, unless it took less heat. You can look online and sometimes you'll find the heat treats recipes online, and they can be useful, although you experiment with flakes because every rock is different. In case you don't know, you're just tuning in and you missed it earlier. All rock is different, and it could be different within the same rock. So just got to experiment with flakes. And sometimes it may need less heat, sometimes it might need more heat. But don't blame nobody. Don't blame nobody for telling you a certain temperature, because they're just going off what they have known, what their experience is. It might not be yours. In flint knapping, everyone's experience is different. Yep. Pretty much. How do you thin down one of these clunky pieces? Very carefully, with lots of force. It's a conundrum. How can you do something really carefully with lots of aggression and lots of force? It's a paradox wrapped in a conundrum. Yeah. You didn't know? Yeah. How do you solve a paradox wrapped in a conundrum? Keep doing the same thing over and over again until you get different results. Yeah. There you go. Easy peasy. You heard it here. You heard it here, folks. I just told you the secret. I don't know, it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. I'm getting diminishing returns. Aren't I? Yes, I aren't. Yes, I is. Whatever. It's not really diminishing returns, but it seems that way. I need to, I haven't been abrading very much. I need to sit down and, or not sit down. I need to slow down and see what I can abrade. Figure out where the best striking area is to get rid of this junk. Be a little more persnickety. Less spastic and less opportunistic. Yes, I am aware that I am spastic and opportunistic. It's not always the best strategy. It's not always rational or logical. I try to be logical and rational. Yeah. This is almost, let's see, is it, when it gets below 2 inches, then it's too small, but it's well above 2 inches, yeah. Once these things become almonds at about 2 inches, And if they're not thinned down by that time, you just move on. You go, oh well. Alright, so what's the verdict after 1 hour? 19 seconds. The verdict is this can be napped raw. Oh yes. But I don't dare go very thin with it because I don't know the extent of the crackage once it gets thin. There's crackages that'll sneak up on you. What are crackages? Just areas that have cracks or will crack when force is applied in ways that you do not expect. Yeah. And there'll be cracks where you do not expect them to be. The ones where you do not expect them to be are called crackages. You'll install crackages and you won't see them. Or you won't notice them. Or you'll notice them and you'll think, that's not too bad. I've napped something else. Those cracks don't open up. You never know. And on this stuff, I think, even though it seems pretty solid, expect the unexpected. I know I don't nap like I expect the unexpected. I just nap like it's spaz time. Come on. There it goes. You can do that kind of stuff. But man, I really, really hammered that. But it doesn't smash. Some stones are very smashy when you try to do that. I hammered that thing and hammered it and hammered it. I don't see any incipients. You could tell how hard it is just by the sound of it. Anyway. Yeah, so I would heat this. This would make a very nice arrowhead. I was just looking up some arrowhead sizes today. Yeah, this is more than 2 inches. As long as you got 2 inches or more, I mean, heck, arrowhead. Now, when it starts getting below 2 inches, that's when you run into some issues where it may not be as useful as you might think. But there were a lot of Native American arrowheads that were small. Did I have my foot in front or my knee in front the whole time? Anyway, I'm going to save a lot of these flakes. I'm going to heat these to 600. I don't know if I'm going to heat the bifaces. Well, if the flakes work out, yeah, I'll heat the bifaces. So I'm just going to save the good ones. They're all kind of good for experimenting with. I've learned not to keep too many of these. I get attached to the flakes and then I don't get rid of them, and I've got a ton. Yeah. Yeah, that's good enough. You can't see what I'm doing anyway. Good enough. If you could actually see what I was doing, that might be useful to keep going. And I'm wondering if this will change colors in the heat. Golly, I'm yawning already. Oh. Okay. All right, it's time to go in. Time to go inside. Yeah, let's get out the bifaces for a nice group photo. Where'd you go? There it is. Is that it? That's all I did? There's probably one more. I just don't know where it is. No? Yes, there it is. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This episode brought to you by the number 5. There you go. Fantastic. That's it.